Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And today we are doing episode 7 of Dark Winds, and it's entitled Just a Small Piece. And it actually has relevance to the content of the episode.
It has relevance to my review because there's just a small piece of this episode that I actually thought was okay. All the rest of it was crap. So that's like my review. Just a small piece was good. Boom! Please subscribe, like, comment. Bye!
What are you doing?
I said that was my whole review. Go ahead.
Oh my god.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, it would be a very easy way to just wrap everything up with this review, is just saying that and then being like, bye-bye.
What kind of review would that be? Crap.
I don't know, because there's a lot of review articles, and this is why Safi's review technique used to be so piss poor, is because, like, in these articles, they basically just recap the whole episode.
Well, recap's one thing.
And then at the very end, they're like, oh yeah, this episode was good. Bye! And it's like, I've always hated those kind of reviews.
Oh.
So.
Well, it's either a recap or it's a review.
Yeah.
You do have to do a little bit of you have to include what happened, and if you say something about it in a negative or a positive way, you do have to mention what happened in order for you to think that way. So, well, we still have the dual case of the people on the reservation. Oh, we actually have a 3-part. We have the FBI agent who's doggedly going after Joe Leaphorn like an idiot. And I'm sorry, but even Emma, his wife, said, you know, I don't know what you're doing. She asked the FBI agent, because nobody up there in Washington cares about what happens to us. They don't care about what happened that night.
Why are you jumping all the way ahead to that?
Well, the thing is, there's 3 parts to this. And so you have the FBI agent and Joe Leaphorn and all that. You have the part down at the border with Emanuelita. And then you have the part with Joe Leaphorn and Jim Chi and the other people on the reservation going after investigating the case they have with the missing boy and the murdered boy. And so the episode covers all 3 parts. So, which was fine for me. There were a couple of things that happened in there which, like I said, I read the Sinister Pig book, and actually they did something with they showed what the pig was. They talked about it in the book, but seeing it was a lot more enlightening and better, and made me understand it better, because something like that, when you describe it, it's kind of like almost falls on deaf ears.
Well, I think what it has to do with is, you know, back when you're a child and you take a test, you take a big test, they have different levels that all the kids are at. You know, some kids are at the proficient level, and some kids are at the poor level, and then some are at the accelerated, which is where I always fit into for every category. And so, but I think that Safi edges on proficient going into poor.
Oh, so she cut it out!
So she couldn't.
That's not true at all.
She has to learn comprehension skills when it comes to these books.
I'm not going to explain that part. We're not doing that part yet. But anyway, I just I appreciated them showing what they were talking about. This is the Emanuelita part, and so. But then we have the negative things.
The rest of it. Well, I mean, all of it. The whole episode.
The FBI agent, even after watching everything I've watched today, or, you know, watching this episode, I still don't, and we're on episode 7, there's one more episode. I don't get her obsession with the case. If this was another FBI agent, I could understand it. I could understand her dogged pursuance of what's going on. And even Emma said, "What are you doing?" And
it seems like that part is all you want to talk about.
well, I know
we're
that.
5
And
minutes
then
into the
the thing
review.
with Emanuelita,
You've been saying like,
and her
okay,
behavior,
and the episode is all about this, and then it's all about this, and then it's all about this, and it's like you're on a merry-go-round.
and then Emanuelita, her behavior, and we'll go into that, and that irritated me. And then I guess Emma's behavior in the end, that irritated me.
Well, let's talk about the first part. So,
Okay.
it's now the next day, and Joe Sleephorn is awake. I thought he was dead. Safi was watching it.
I didn't think he was dead.
Well, Safi was watching it, and she had the video paused, and it just looked like, wow, he might as well be dead.
He did look pretty bad. They made him look terrible.
And but Jim Chi comes up on him, and he's like, hey, maybe I should, take you in because, you need help and everything. But then Joe is like, no, I want you to go catch the bad guy now because, the bad guy, this has been 7 episodes now, and we really need to end the season soon. And so Jim Chi chased after this guy, and this is what I thought was probably one of the worst parts of the episode. In fact, it kind of reminded me, because I just had learned about one of the first shooters, which was Charles Whitman of Texas, who did this shootout in a Texas tower.
Oh, yeah.
And it reminded me exactly of how that guy got killed, or he ended up getting killed, to where there was this, and fittingly enough, he was this police officer named Officer Martinez, and all these police, or 2 police and then a citizen, ended up cornering him and finding him on the roof, and Officer Martinez got right up to him, and then they faced off with each other, and he fired 6 shots at him standing right near him, and all 6 shots missed. And Charles Whitman was like, wow, you suck. And he was about to kill him, and the only reason he didn't get killed is because someone else got him, the other officer. And so I thought it was hilarious because this reminded me exactly of that, to where Jim Chi...
No, there's more to it than that.
He comes up on this bad guy, and this was actually even worse than the guy in the Texas story. Because I'm not saying the guy in the Texas story that he was bad or anything. I'm just saying that it reminded me of that situation, but this was so bad, and it was so unrealistic because it was basically like the villain had plot armor because they didn't want to end the mystery in the story yet. And so Jim Chi, he takes out his pistol, and they have this face-off, and basically the bad guy
has a rifle too.
The bad guy hides behind his car, and Jim Chi performs what I call the Chi charge, which is you just shoot and shoot and shoot without any rhyme or reasoning, and it was an epic failure. He basically shot his car to death, and
except for one thing, he didn't even touch the tire. The guy was going to get away, and so what if he shot out his windows?
Yeah.
So what? He could have shot the tires, and he wouldn't have been able to go anywhere.
When I play GTA 5, and I'm just shooting random people because I'm like a bad guy in that game, because it's fun, I shoot out the tires first.
That's why you watch any show. Grimm, 1,000,000 times over, there's a car going away. What do? They shoot out the tires. Or the bad guy wants to get away, and so they shoot out the police people's tires. I mean, that's what you do. He didn't touch the tires. He didn't aim anywhere near them.
He aims at the car door.
And the door.
He kills the doors.
And I'm like, what? And I said it out loud, like, shoot out the tires! Shoot out the tires!
He didn't kill the doors. He killed the car doors. And then he unloaded his whole pistol.
Yeah.
And then, did he unload his whole rifle too?
I don't know.
No,
he had
the
it's
shotgun.
It's one of those you have to reload. Yeah.
No, are you calling his shotgun a rifle? Is that what you're doing?
I don't know.
It was a shotgun.
It's something that you have to reload.
And then he took out his shotgun, and basically he let the bad guy get into the car, give him time to go around back and get in the car, and then he performed the chi charge, which is, he just aims his shotgun all over the place and shoots like a stormtrooper while he charges at the bad guy at like 0 miles an hour. So, that was probably one of the most embarrassing moments for Jim Chee's character in history, because it wasn't even like an intense, clever standoff. It was just like the chi charge. That's what I call it, the chi charge. What do you think of that, Safi? Suck on that.
Really dumb.
Beat that.
Not you, but just the whole the. I don't get that. To me, that's not even good police work. I would think that would be part of their training. What would be to have shot out the tires, because they want him caught. The thing is about the guy, they find out who he is and what he's doing, but that's after all this. They know because Joe Leaphorn was protecting that boy who was out at the campsite in the coal canyon, and in the morning when Chi came, Joe Leaphorn's car had been rifled through. But anyway, the boy took his money, and then they found the boy was gone, and of course the guy who shot at them or tried to kill them, he was wounded, because remember, he went, ow, so that showed he wasn't a monster, and there was a trail of blood. That's another thing to show he was human and not a monster. So anyway, we went through that. But anyway, the boy at the boys' camp was train schedule, and the boy had taken the money, and he went to buy a train ticket, and they had talked about this in the episode last week. He wants to go be with his mom, his stepmom, mom, whatever. Anyway, so they have to go. The guy's going after the boy too. So they have to stop him.
Now Safi's jumping ahead to the finale.
I know, but that's
who is this guy? She hasn't even talked about that. She's just like, and then the finale, all this stuff has to happen, and it's like, I don't even know why I'm talking about this, because it's not really relevant in this video.
What are you doing?
I'm doing your review for you.
It was important for him to stop him, and he doesn't even shoot out the tires. He's going to kill the boy.
He doesn't hit the guy once. He doesn't get a single shot at him.
I don't think he hit his arm, his leg, or anything.
That's really bizarre.
And it's funny because here it was for Joe Leaphorn. It's dark. He did have a flashlight.
And he did shoot him.
And he managed to shoot him.
But then Jim Chi in broad daylight.
In broad daylight,
like 5 feet away, 6 or 7 feet away from him, he can't handle it.
Yeah, that was a little
That was dumb. That was really dumb.
That was dumb and
they could have,
and unrealistic.
And it's like
I believe.
I think these writers, the problem that they have is that like it's just like the basic stuff that they have trouble with. Like it's like you have the idea of like, oh, Jim Chi faces off with the bad guy, they have a showdown, the bad guy gets away. That idea can work, but the execution of that idea is just, it's stupid. And it's like you have to fix the core stuff that happens of like, okay, like this is the execution of that is going to be like this, and they stand here and it's going to be like the standoff. Like you have to fix that stuff before you do it. You can't just be like, oh yeah, well we could just do this stupid thing and then it's over in 2 seconds, and it's like, it's dumb. It's a big doo-doo. It's a big doo-doo scene. And then Joe Sleephorn talks with the other guy, I can't remember, Gordo, and he actually does tell him about BJ. And Gordo, he's a man, he's loyal with Joe, and he says, you know what, who cares? Like,
he did, and he really, that's just about what he really said in the show. He said, who cares?
Safi, weren't you talking? Are you too busy?
Oh, I thought you were. Well, they do more investigating. And this is what happens in the book all the time. Joe is very thorough and very carefully investigates scenes. He looks at every angle.
Yeah, they do some actual investigating, him and Gordo, not him and Jim Chi. And I gotta say, like, if the writers are listening or anyone is listening, can you make next season like about investigating instead of like whatever this was?
The
because
personal stuff.
Because I'd just like to see Joe and Jim investigating stuff together, like they
Which is
did.
a big part of the
Like
book series.
that's why
more than this personal stuff.
that's why you watch
these dramas.
Yeah, that's why you watch a detective show. You don't watch it to find out how Joe's wife is going to leave him and all this bullshit. It's like, who cares? Like, that's stupid. Nobody wants that shit. Like, you know, with Monk, it's like, I mean, look at a show like Monk, or look at a show like The X-Files. You know, they have stuff that happens in the background that's personal. You know, like in the first episode, you know, Scully brought Mulder into her room, and then she took off her shirt, and he had to look for this alien mark on her, and that was very much like doing something without actually doing something personal. And, you know, that was like a little hint at something. And this show, it just goes so overboard on that kind of thing that, you know, it doesn't even, you don't even care about the main story that's going on.
Yeah, well, they focused a little bit too much on personal drama. And that's Emma, personal drama, Manuelita, personal drama, and the FBI agents, whatever kind of drama.
She sucks.
I don't know what to call that.
Agent Washington.
Don't get it.
She should be called Agent Washed Uppington because she's going to be washed up by the end of the season.
Well, the implication, the thing is, I've already said this before, going out to the reservation for the FBI, according to like all the books, if you do this with diplomacy, with you know, embassies, when you go to a country like Tanzania, for example, which is where we did our research, it's a hardship post. So the Navajo reservation is like a hardship post, and nobody wants to go there. And so Emma had implied about this woman that she was sent there because she's trying to prove something, because she's not doing very much where she is in Washington. So she wants to get this case for her personal benefit, not really to solve a case. So,
which I think that is a good reason for the story, because, you know, we were asking the whole season, like, who cares about this? Why is the FBI so involved in this?
And they're not really.
If you just made it like about this one agent who is just like, she's basically like an evil Clarice from Silence of the Lambs, and so that's actually a good reason, because that frames it as like, okay, like, that does make more sense than, oh, well, this is a big deal. You know, this old guy who dried up in the desert. He dried up like beef jerky in the desert.
And Joe Leaphorn didn't touch him.
Yeah. He didn't even kill him. He left him out there to dry up like beef jerky.
It would be probably manslaughter.
He's BJ Jerky. Oh.
Well, anyway, so that's a drama. That whole thing. Well, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's a drama, and it's all with women. There was the Jim Chi one, because he has a thing for Manuelita, and of course that's a real thing.
It's like female characters, I guess. They only exist to have, emotional drama.
And then you have Manuelita.
That's their whole story.
Thing. Now, I don't know.
Well, Safi, let's not get to that part yet, because all you've done this whole video is just like jump ahead over and over again and just totally ruin.
We like the investigating.
Totally ruin the flow of the review.
Okay, Marco. Anyway, I'm glad they did the investigating, although, like Marco said, Jim Chi wasn't really involved in that.
And they discover that the main bad guy is the guy who helped Joe discover that one arrowhead that was found in the boy's mouth, that it was a fake. That is the bad guy of the season, or I guess the main.
He's the archaeologist. He's the one who had the site. It's under his name. He got the grant to do it.
This is another weak villain, and I don't think he's weak in the sense that the story is weak. I think that he's weak in the sense that it's very cliche, like where you have a list of characters like, oh, who could be the bad guy? And then the guy who ends up being the bad guy is like that one random guy who nobody even really thought about. You know, like, that's very, very, like, run-of-the-mill. And I wish that we had seen his character more throughout the season. Because without, you know, saying that he's the bad guy, at least you're seeing him and you're getting to know him. Like, there's this one X-Files episode, and, you know, they're dealing with a whole town. But you had this one guy who was the sheriff, and they showed him through the whole episode. And you're constantly seeing his character without knowing, like, okay, who is the guy who's actually doing the killing of all these people. And then at the end of the episode, they actually take down this guy, and they reveal that it's the sheriff. And it's like a very shocking revealing, because it's like they've been following that guy the whole show, and there's not really any direct implication that he's the bad guy, and then boom, you find that out. And so this reveal is really, really weak, because it's just like, oh yeah, that one random guy, oh yeah, he's the bad guy. And Safi loved it, though.
The thing is, they showed him once, I think near the beginning of the episode, because the two boys, remember the one who's murdered and the one who's running, weren't there at the site. And so they showed them talking to the archaeologist, and then when they found the dead boy, he had this arrow in his mouth. Well, it was a Folsom point. I used to do archaeology. A Folsom point is like the most amazing point you could ever find, because it's the oldest projectile point in America. And so if you find one, you found a very old, they call it a paleosite.
America?
Which is the oldest. Yeah, in the United States, in America.
America?
It's the oldest point you can find. But anyway, the professor has been faking his research. And so the boys were going to find that out somehow. I really didn't get that part. They came one night, they didn't think he was there, and so then that's when everything blew up.
Yeah.
And they were discovered, and that's what set it off.
Well,
the bad part.
I like that idea. I like that story. That's a good story, and it feels very much like it could happen.
And it does happen. It had no. There's no. I told Marco this. I've known of professors who they've used, like, I don't know about the faking their research, but I guess if they steal their students, PhD students' research, and pretend like it's their own. I've seen it happen. Nobody gets murdered, but they just get away with it and nothing happens to them, which I've seen it twice. And so it happens. There's no murder, which is really, very violent. And, but anyway,
it just wasn't developed enough for me. It felt very much like it was like, oh yeah, well,
it was. They
we
never
saw
showed
that,
them ever, except those two little parts at the beginning.
Yeah,
that was it.
That's bad storytelling. That's just kind of like. I mean, you could say it. I mean, we have seen that before. Like, you remember Friday the 13th 5. There was like the mystery of who is Jason in this movie, because Jason's dead. And then at the end, it's like, oh yeah, it was that one kid's father at the beginning of the movie. And it's like, but that was one of the worst ones of the series. Like, I mean, a lot of people love that one now, but I think it's one of the worst ones of the series. And that's what it reminds me of, which is funny because it was so bad. Remember that, Safi? Part 5, where they're at the...
I kind of vaguely.
They're at the youth center with Tommy.
We watched all of them. How many were there?
I don't know, like...
There's several.
11?
I was going to say there's
12?
more than 10.
12?
So it's quite a few, so they kind of start running into each other, although there were some very significant, meaning they stood out, but not because they were good.
That's the one with imposter Jason, though.
Oh.
And then, of course, they did have the Jason Goes to Hell, where it was just
God.
Jason is a worm, and he jumps into people, and they become Jason.
So anyway, the only way, so they did some research by putting pieces of what the boy had this plaster stuff together, which Marco knows a lot about. He's used it for his filming, And then they put the arrow, they found the boy's mouth in the plaster where there was an impression of a arrowhead. They call them projectile points when you do archaeology. They're not called arrowheads. And it fit perfectly. And then they talked to his assistant, and she was only in it for a little bit. She plays a big part in helping them put it together, finishing putting it together. And then they have to protect her because he could go after her too.
Can you do an impression of her in this episode? Look,
Oh, I don't know what
this is what she did. Oh wow! That was her part of
she
the
was in
story.
shock, but I don't know why.
Oh wow!
Because if she'd been around a while, she'd see
That guy
this kind of
killed.
thing happens.
That guy killed a kid. Oh wow!
See, they got their grant money pulled, or it ran out, and they didn't get it renewed, and so they were leaving, and well, she was leaving. And who knows what he was going to do if none of that bad stuff would have happened. But anyway.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she wasn't very.
That was kind of like what I said while watching the episode. Like, oh wow!
So anyway, so they're after and the guy also dressed up as a quote monster.
He just wore a coat over his head,
Yeah, he
like
just
it was
had
like
it was a long hoodie instead of like a short waisted hoodie.
it's like a
it was like a coat hoodie.
no, he's like Cornholio from Beavis and Butthead.
Well, it's like these things from Mexico. I have a couple
A
of them.
poncho.
Yeah, but it's an open hoodie, but the hoodie is really big, and so he'd been He'd been the one spooking Jolie porn because he was trying to cover up his bad doings. So anyway, this is how they leave it. They're after him. They're all headed to the train. This is the reservation part. Now, which part do you want to talk about? Emanuelita?
Let's talk about Agent Washed Uppington. Because she comes over to Emma's house and she's like, hey, if you want to, you can come into the station and tell me all about how evil your husband is because I don't believe you. I don't believe women. I believe that you're a bullshitter. And then Emma's
She doesn't
like...
say that exactly.
Emma's like, oh, I don't know what to do because my character sucks now. And she goes into the station, and this is where you think, uh-oh, she could potentially... I mean, I
didn't think she would do it.
If she had talked against him, that would have ended the show. Because there's just certain things you don't do.
And that is illegal. She's his spouse.
Yeah.
She can't testify against him.
Yeah.
So even if she did say anything, she wouldn't be able to use it.
Yeah.
Because she can't testify against him in court.
Yeah,
and she didn't have her lawyer with her either. And she was trying to not only intimidate her, she was also trying to fool her.
Yeah.
into speaking against him. And without her saying that, except Emma said, nobody in Washington cares about this. Why are you doing this? Nobody cares. And she goes, I care.
That was like a bunch of bullshit, too.
Yeah,
Because you know why? Because her character's not going to be in the next season. You think like her character's going to be like, oh my god, the reservation is so important to me. I'm not going to be FBI. I'm going to stay at the reservation. Like, no, she's going to leave. She's not even going to be there. So she doesn't give a shit about the reservation or anything.
Yeah.
And so I did like that Emma called her out on that at first. I thought that was good. But this is like what you call like overstaying your welcome, like with this whole storyline. Because honestly, like, it's just a giant nothing burger. The woman's not going to get anywhere with getting Joe Sleephorn in prison. So it's just like a huge waste of time. And
no, she's still going to try, according to what we saw in the future, trailer for next week.
Yeah,
she's going to try.
She's going to confront him.
Yeah.
Which is like, who cares? Like, again, it's like, who cares?
And he knows the law.
Yeah.
That's what kills me. What the hell is she trying to do? She can't fool him. He's not a dipshit.
Well, so Emma goes to actually spill the beans, supposedly. And she goes into this room with Agent Washed Uppington, and she turns on this recorder, and she acts like she's doing something really groundbreaking, which is it was so embarrassing to watch. I can't even believe that the actress was able to do these scenes with a straight face because it's just so dumb. And then you have the thing of like a wife can't testify against her husband and vice versa. And so why? I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, that's really important to the story.
We're not lawyers either, but you see this all the time on TV.
They had it.
So ordinary people who not even know all the law things going on, even right now, they know that.
They had it in Better Call Saul. What happened was Kim said, like, okay, like, we can do cons together, but only if you'll get married to me, because then if we get married, I don't have to testify against you.
Yeah.
And so that was a whole plot point of Better Call Saul, even though that show ended up sucking. That did make sense, that choice right there.
But it happens
and so
constantly.
Emma goes on this whole monologue, and I knew that she wasn't going to spill the beans, because that would have ended the show.
I didn't think she would either.
Fans of the books would probably riot.
They would revolt, because none of that ever happened anyway.
And so she goes on this big monologue, like, even though we've already kind of gotten over this storyline, I lost my son, and I'm still sad about that. And, Joe, he's still sad about that, too. And he's so sad that he doesn't have any room in his heart for me. And so, poor me.
I'm all alone.
I'm alone. And so, I don't know. I hope one day I can forgive Joe Sleephorn. But until that day, I walk alone. And that was so gay.
I mean, she said that.
Like, that is such a modern... That is such a modern woman thing to say.
Yeah, I don't think
that's such a modern female character thing to say, and it made me realize all the modern female characters nowadays, they all have one thing in common: they're selfish. They're selfish people. They don't care about anyone else but themselves. She says she cares about her son, but then she doesn't think. She's like, oh well, my husband, he's so sad about it. Fuck him. Like, it's like, she's so selfish, but she doesn't give him up. She says, like, he was with me all night. F you. But then what she does next is probably one of the low points of the entire series. And I think if you're a fan of the books, you should speak up and say that this is bad, because this is not good. She leaves town. She was the last woman... She goes to
live with her sister.
She was the last female character standing in season 2 who didn't leave town, and now she has now left town too. So it is like the writers of this show, they have to make it so that every female character leaves town.
Well, Manuelita will be coming back.
That doesn't matter. She left town already, so it's like all the female characters, they all have to leave town at some point, including Agent Washed Uppington.
Well, that's fine with me. She can leave all she wants.
But it's like, that's not good writing. Like, every single female character leaves town.
I don't know what to say. It's asinine, sorry.
It's like a cycle. It's like some kind of like a... You know how they had the period dance in season 1 or whatever that was? Like
cool.
The puberty dance? Like, it's like a part of Navajo women's lives is to just leave. Is to just get up and leave, I guess. Like,
that's not true.
Is that an actual thing, or is that some kind?
So.
That's like a modern thing.
That's a modern, and I don't like that.
Horrible.
But we'll see I can't wait to see what other people think.
And Joe has gone through this whole character arc for nothing because she doesn't care. She's like,
she doesn't know he went through it because she won't talk to him.
I walk alone.
He was just in mortal danger.
Yeah.
Lying in the desert.
And you know what
bleeding out.
You know what she says to him?
Wound.
She says, "How's your leg?" Like, that is another like modern woman thing to do. Like, instead of like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you almost died. You almost got killed. How could you do that?" Like, she doesn't even act like that even happened. She's just like, "How's your leg?" How's your leg, bitch? Like, are you kidding me? Like, what the fuck is up with that? So that was just, it was outrageous, Safi. It was so bad. Like, why would they do that? Like, they did... They didn't even do that in like Hell on Wheels.
I don't know.
Except for the Mormon woman.
None of it ever happens.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is they'll develop that in the way they want to and out of their own making. Or they'll make it to where she gets sick because in the books she gets brain cancer and she ends up, it's like having dementia or something. She doesn't know where she is, or her brain is all convoluted, and they can't do anything about it.
I don't think they'll do that. I think
don't know.
that it would be too much. I mean, they've already had this whole stupid storyline.
I don't know.
I can't stand this show. I think this show is a disaster. I think it's just a giant mess. What they've done to the characters is just absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, really. I mean, come on, really. And I'm surprised at you, Ann Hillerman, for allowing them to do that. But what can I say?
Ann Hillerman turns out to be a drip.
That this happens. But
She's
let's
a
move
drip.
on to Emanuelita.
She's a fly on the wall.
Now, okay, Marco.
You know how they say, "Don't be a brick in the wall." It's
Yeah.
like, "Don't be a fly on the wall."
Okay.
That's
Okay,
what Ann
now,
Hillerman.
Emanuelita has just made mistake after mistake
Offi-
after mistake
Officer Bimbo.
underestimating, but really she knows. You can tell, but she still does it anyway.
Yeah.
It's like being hard-headed or something. Everybody in her office ends up being corrupt.
Which is funny because
everybody.
I
which I thought.
I
anyway.
think that's fine, but like again, like this whole story was not developed properly. It was to the point of where it's like, yeah, who cares? Like they're all one-dimensional characters. Like they might as well all be evil because like if they weren't all evil, then you'd have to have them next season. You'd have to have her call them once in a while. You'd have to have like a love triangle go on. And actually, there is actually an interesting thing where we know that the boyfriend is corrupt and he is a bad guy.
And Marcos predicted that, and I suspected it too.
But he has taken the role of Budge in the book where he doesn't want to do it anymore. And he's deeply in love with Emanuelita. And so I hate it so badly. I
don't think she has it for him.
It's so bad.
That's the thing.
No, she does. She's going to have to choose.
I don't know.
I guarantee it. Because you said that's how Budge was like in the book.
Yeah, but she wasn't like that back to him.
But he has taken the role of Budge now. That's what the writers did.
In the book, Budge, there are two people.
Accept it.
Who are being threatened of being killed. Two women. And Budge, the other woman, was going to marry the rancher, and he was just faking it. He wasn't going to marry her. And he told Budge to get rid of her. He pretended like he did, but he didn't. And he stashed her away somewhere. But he's been communicating back and forth with her. And then for Manuelita, he doesn't have a thing for her, but he doesn't want to do anything to her either. And he was asked to kill her. And he doesn't want to do that either. So in the book, anyway, he ends up saving her. And then he goes off to be with this other girl, and they talked about it. They have an epilogue in the book, and he goes off to be with her. They're together, like I think they get married or something.
Budge gets an epilogue?
Budge. Yep. Yeah, I swear to God.
They're not giving this guy an epilogue. They're just going to kill him.
No, I don't think so either.
They'll give an epilogue to that other guy.
Now, this guy's more evil, the way they have him. But
So, Emanuelita goes to the other female agent. I don't know her name.
I don't either.
But
she's a Navajo, and in the book, she was not bad. She was another Navajo, and maybe all the other people in the border agent station, they were not Navajo, and it was just Emanuelita and this girl.
They end up coming up with a great plan, and that is
The lie.
Let's storm the ranch and just do whatever we want.
Just them, though.
Because
it's stupid.
We're strong women. We're like Charlie's Angels, except we're Navajo, and so we can do whatever we want. And then they
And
go
it's
there,
just bullshit.
and there's this really queer moment where, like, they're standing with their backs to each other, like they're really cool and badass.
Like Charlie's Angels.
And it's just so cringe, because it's like, Charlie's Angels were smart. You know, like, when they infiltrated the castle, they did it in a very, like, secretive, methodical way. You had different characters dealing with different groups of the bad guys, and it was so well done. And we're talking about the 2000s Charlie's Angels, not the feminazi one. But in this,
I remember those.
But in this, it's just like, oh yeah, we're in the ranch. Let's run around in circles. We're storming the ranch. Oh, are you bad? Oh no, you're just a barrel. Oh, is that a drug? Oh, there's drugs here. There's drugs at the ranch. We've solved the mystery. There's balls everywhere. And it's like, honestly, who cares? Like, if somebody wants some cocaine, they should get some cocaine. Like, who cares? What happened to the whole human trafficking story? Oh, that's where it gets interesting. Emanuelita, she's like, oh, there's that other shack over there I never even really cared about before. Boom! Kicked it in, and then, oh my God, there's human trafficking going on.
I think that was just a family. It was a setup. I think that was one of the workers.
What is that? I don't know, Safi, because it's like, there's just this random family sitting on the floor, and it's like, oh, is that the human trafficking? Is that the low-budget human trafficking?
I don't know why. I think it was I think, because, of course, the story on TV is a little different, but I think that was a setup, because in the book, there is no human trafficking. Not in the Sinister Pig book. And like I said, the pigs, when she tells the agent what she's going to do before they go to, she says what the pigs are. Each pig, it's kind of a system where they are used to unclog and clean out the pipeline so the oil can go through it. So they're balls. And you open them up and they put the cocaine inside. And each one of those is called pig. You know, they call it the Sinister Pig. So pig and so they showed it. So that was interesting. I actually liked that. But the way those girls were, and then of course the other girl, the Navajo woman.
Because what were they getting? What were
bullshits? She's corrupt too.
But here's
nobody.
Here's a question to ponder. What would they have done if they had come across some people, like, with their guns? Like, would they have started shooting people?
I know.
Just start shooting random workers at this ranch?
And you saw Jim Chi with this little revolver, and then he shoots all the bullets out and doesn't get anything.
So bad.
They just look, it was just, oh God, it was terrible.
Safi, it was really funny, because Safi was like, I want to throw my phone at the wall.
Well, I knew. But in the book, she made a bunch of mistakes, too. She almost gets herself killed. And if it hadn't been for Budge, she probably would have been killed. So, that's not unbelievable. But to see it play out where she's trusted this girl, too. And unlike in the book, the girl was trustworthy. But everybody in this office is bad. They're all corrupt. And so it was just, you knew it was bad. You knew the girl, because what happens is they end up splitting apart. Now, really, they wouldn't stick together. They would be going their separate ways, each having this little revolver up against shotguns.
They didn't even say, let's split up. They just split up without saying
anything.
No communication.
So you got it right there. You're suspicious. Yeah. Right there.
And then she gets cornered. Budge is there. And the female agent is there, and they knock her out, and they take her away.
And so they put a bag over her head. She doesn't know what's going on.
It's really unfortunate, because they actually, with the trailer for the finale, they really ruined it, because they spoiled what's going to happen to Emanuelita partially. I mean, you know she's going to get out of it, but they spoiled that she's going to be put in a car by Budge, and he's going to bury her with the dirt.
Like he did with that other guy in the beginning of the season.
And it's like, why would you show that in the trailer? Like,
they just left it there with them putting the bag over her head.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, I've seen, I have seen more good trailers for TV episodes than bad trailers in terms of like overall. All the TV shows, especially AMC, they are really good at making trailers for TV episodes because they really make you think like, ooh, what is going to happen? But that was a terrible trailer because they just straight up showed something that was going to happen that they should not have showed. Like, that was so like, wow. And you know what's going to happen? The boyfriend is going to come and save her.
And he's going to get killed or something.
And then she's going to have to choose him or Jim. And she's going to choose Jim. And then he's going to be like, I respect your decision because I respect women. And then he's going to go off.
He's going to get killed.
No, he's not. I guarantee it. Want to bet?
Well, yeah, let's bet.
I guarantee it.
I bet he gets killed.
I bet.
And Marco bets that he doesn't.
That he saves her, he kills Budge, or she kills Budge, and then she has to choose between him and Jim, which is really weird because it's like, this is supposed to be like a strong, independent female character, and her whole story revolves around men.
Well, she can't stay there because the whole office is corrupt.
Yeah.
So even if these people, if Budge gets killed or whatever,
but she could
the
go
whole
up.
office is been on this scheme with drug trafficking, and they all need to go to jail.
She could go off with that guy though, or something, and so then he's gonna say, "I respect your decision. You can do whatever you want." And then that's gonna be the end of the show, and she's gonna leave town again.
No, she's going to go back to the reservation with Jim.
But she has to leave the town she's in to do that. So she's going to leave town.
Though, but she has to.
What is the deal?
There's nothing there for her.
What is the deal with female characters leaving town, Safi? Is that some kind of like a wives' tale?
I don't know what that's about.
Like, they should write a song about that. They should write a song called "Leaving Town," and it's just like, gotta leave town, gotta be strong, independent. Gotta leave town, can't be with no man. Like, because that's all that they do on this fucking show, the female characters.
I don't know.
They don't even solve mysteries, they just leave town and shit, you know? I mean, Emanuelita, basically her whole story this season was she found a bunch of balls with cocaine in them. Like, that's a pretty weak story if you ask me.
And the trapping was a red herring. There's
Trafficking?
no trafficking. There's no there's no human trafficking. That's all. There's no. It's never in the book. So I don't know what. I haven't even. That's just bullshit. I don't even know what that. They have. You hear about this illegal people coming over, and that could include women and children, as well as men. But I mean, this, and I know there is human trafficking, but for this story. No, I don't think so. So anyway, that's it. That's what happened. Those are the things that bugged us.
And I want to say this too. A lot of people said that they hated the last episode. I know that last episode it had its problems, but I actually enjoyed it. I thought that it was good. I liked the idea that Joe had to go through his personal journey and that they revealed all this stuff about his past. There were some problems with it, though, but I think that this episode is the one that people should be upset about because this is the one that really just cements all the bullshit. So I would give it a D-.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'll give it a B- because
wow.
I still, this drama stuff, now, remember, Emanuelita did make a bunch of mistakes. She almost got herself killed. That did happen. Maybe not the same way, but it did. That is exactly it. That did happen. And this thing with Emma, though, and the thing with the FBI agent, the two separate things, not together. Both of those drama things, I think it just puts an ugly stamp onto the episode, which I don't like. And but this thing about Emanuelita making mistakes, yep, she made them in the book, made them here. They're just a little bit different, but same old thing. And but this love thing with I don't believe she's in love with this guy.
The white man.
I don't know if I just don't believe it. And but the thing is, if she was, it was either that which you can't say it's not a possibility, because, you know, it could be. It's their story. But the other thing is she was just trying to, you know, kind of use him. But that doesn't seem like her either, personality. So it's just screwed up. That's what I'm saying. It's screwed up. So anyway, that's it. Marco found a lot more. Because the thing with Emma is just sickening.
Yeah.
And it's so modern. And it's so anti-Navajo. I just do not believe.
And by the
that's
way,
a Navajo thing. That woman is really Navajo too.
By the
Emma
way,
is.
that's the main reason I give the episode a D-. If that wasn't in the episode, I'd probably give it a C+.
And I don't like I don't like the FBI agent, what she's doing. And this thing we're tricking, or Emma or Jolie, or neither one, trying to trick them, or going against the law by, and not, she didn't even have her lawyer present. She started taking this witness testimony without any lawyer, and she's suspecting her of being, you know, a complicit. But still, even if she was, and lying, get perjury and all that, she should have had a lawyer. I would think she should have had a lawyer present. I guess any of you legal people, if you're paying attention to this,
I guess she's
might contribute and say,
she's too strong and independent to do that. But, you know, I
didn't like any of that.
I think the reason for that is just the fact that they wanted to keep the audience in suspense of what she was going to say. If she had her lawyer with there,
that would taint that.
They would have had to talk about it beforehand, and she would have had to say, "Well, I'm going to lead on Agent Washed Uppington, and I'm just going to be like, hey, you know what? I walk alone, but oh yeah, also Joe was with me that night. Wink, wink." And so that would have ruined the moment, you know. They did kind of do that in Better Call Saul, season 1, episode 550. They did kind of do that where. Or it might have been episode 4, where Mike, he was questioned by his former colleagues at the police force, and he brought Jimmy to be with him in that room. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And then he stole the notebook or whatever, the little police pad. Like, see, that was back when that show was good, you know.
Yeah.
Safi?
So anyway, that's it. So, make a comment, like the episode if you want, and subscribe. We're almost at 700 subscribers. And tell us what you thought. Because, you know, we have a lot of thoughts and we've shared them, and it'd be nice to hear what somebody else said, especially about Emma, because anybody who knows that never happened. None of that.
I do like the actress. The actress is
really
very good. She's very likable, and so that's why it's particularly why it's so bad, is because she's such a likable person, and they make her into such a nasty woman, as Trump would say.
Don't bring up PCSOH, you know what, in there.
Well, I'm just saying that because they make her character so off-putting. And
she's not like that.
You didn't have to do that. Even to have a story like this where there's drama between them, you didn't have to make her so off-putting to where she's like, I walk alone. You know, like, that's really gay. Because she didn't even walk, she drove. She drove away alone.
She had her stuff already packed in the trunk.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pickup truck, so it's in the flatbed. Or in the bed of the truck. So, and Joe sees it, goes, where are you going? I'm going to go with my sister. I'm going to go be with my sister or something. So I'm just like, plah. So anyway, that's it. So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.